What's up?
Wow.
That one goes quick. You got to be ready for it. It's a fast
That
one.
was we have a brand new introduction in production now. The introduction is in production.
That's right. That was a custom one-off just for this special
Right.
occasion.
Exactly. So what was your headline?
Well, I think the second set. Like I don't just as we are going through the thread talking and stuff. I think Matt came out and threw down, and on paper it was pretty beautiful to look at, and watching and listening, it was pretty incredible to see. So, but there's a few standouts, I think, and a few cool, good jams in there, and some stuff. So we'll get into it. What'd you think overall?
I thought that they sounded better than I've ever heard them sound. I mean, last summer there were glimpses of this.
Mm-hmm.
And, no disparaging anybody, Billy left, but it seems like when you put new blood in a band, like Spafford got a new keyboard player this year and they've just been on fire. I think it invigorates a band on some level.
Definitely.
So.
And I mean, I think, yeah, there was moments, I know we'll get into it, we talk about, but overall, yes. And I think you could see that somewhat on stage a couple times tonight, like John and Mayer moving around, dancing, and then after Eyes, I don't know if you saw it, but when he was pointing at Mickey and Jay and was like, he was saying like that was great, or say like really, they were on. To your point,
a lot of
smiles, and they were on tonight. To your point,
right.
Like they hit a lot of good things. So,
so they opened up with Minglewood, just like the show, the historic show there, and that was the first of 7 songs from that night that we got. Standard. I mean, Minglewood's Minglewood. It's a fun opener. I guess it's kind of a weird opener. You usually think of that as like the blues song, like 2 or 3 songs in,
Yeah, but it was the callback. That's it was
exactly. And it
made sense.
Thinking.
Fun, why not do it? I was wondering if we were going to get any songs from the original show, or if we'd get a bunch of them, or if we'd get kind of like what we got, a splattering of them here, like only 2 in the first set.
A third of this, right? A third of the show was so. But then we got Althea, which is the youngest song of the night. Everything else was 70s. I mean, Althea was 70. I guess 79 they broke it out, but that was the youngest song of the night. Much better placement there than in the second set. Please keep it out of the second set. It's wasting too much territory.
Totally,
it friggin' slay.
I agree completely. Like it was a good spot of this. I mean, like I don't know, like I told you, it seems to be that song now anyway. So wherever it is, first set, wherever it is fine. But yes, to your point, second set, yeah, works in the 2 slot though. It was a good, after Minglewood kind of got you going, and then to have that, and why not?
Yeah. And then
it made sense when you look at the set list overall. It made sense where it went, so it was good.
Mm-hmm. And then we got for me, the meat of the set, the Prophet Eyes.
I mean, does it get better than when Estimated goes into an Eyes? I mean, that's like the coup de grace of like.
I tell you, every time I hear Mayer play Estimated, if I close my eyes, I can hear Jerry. He so nails the tone, the phrasing, just the intricacies of what Garcia did. He nails, and it just amazes me every time I see that.
It's nice to hear and see and feel and another one of those songs from before. So
right, that was number 2 of
number
7.
2, and it made sense where it was again in that spot coming out of Althea. To your point, getting into the meat of the set, getting where we wanted to go, and then I mean, again, like my favorite anytime that, but getting that Eyes just.
Right.
You want to talk about the highlights? Yes, I said the second set, but I think Eyes was not just a first set highlight, but a whole show highlight. It has to be right up there, the top 3 of best moments of it.
Right, Chimente and Oteil were both shining.
In their own ways, like they had a Mayer jam, and then back into the verse, and then the Chimente jam, and then into the verse, and then the Oteil kind of jam, which was just perfect. I mean, to your point, it just they haven't sounded like that. Not that fluid, not that on, not that like even the pace was good. And you know, if you want to attribute that to Jay or just whatever, I don't know, but it was good. And the set list again was flowing, right? Like it was, you had a vibe to it.
I've been thinking a lot about Matt when he was on last week's talking about he'll go to Chimente to say space should be shortened or space should go longer. And watching tonight, I had in my head that, you know, Chimente was the leader of the band. Somebody in one of the chats said the term musical director, and he does seem to be, you know, the one who's leading things later on, like into Fire. Before they went into Fire, Mayer looked over at Chimente like, is it time? Are we doing this now? And you know, the end of Eyes, you know, I thought they were just gonna fizzle out with it, but they ended up in Jack Straw, and that might have been one of the most beautiful transitions. I was like, wow, we're in Jack Straw. How'd that happen?
It was again, yes, it was an interesting and that different tempo to that Jack Straw. Like it was a different sort of slower as they've come to play and whatever. But it just, yeah, it was good though. Again, a 3 in a row of the estimated the Eyes and a Jack Straw was such a fun run of tunes, and they, you know,
that was number great. 3. That was number 3 on the night from the original. Then we got a Bertha Cassidy deal run. Bertha,
it ripped. There was a little bit of ripping in there, wasn't
you got to end it. You got to end Bertha with anymore and dun, dun. And they did, and they kind of noodled around and ended up in Cassidy, which doesn't work for me on some level. But
I hear you. Yeah, it does need that.
Jerry, he just loved it. Jerry, you know, and I don't think Mayer gets the arrest me line right. Garcia be like, arrest me. Why don't you arrest me? And then Deal, people love Deal. Deal is song number 4 from the original show. Deal always rips. It's just lyrically thin for me.
Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, it's just a fun, you know, when it rips and it's going, it's fun. And there was a good jam in there. I thought like they found a good jam to close out the set with. Did you you skip over Cassidy because you just don't like it?
No, wait, no, let's talk about Cassidy. Cassidy, you know, my thing with Cassidy is I feel like it's never been given its full potential. It should have been given some second set love. It did once, I think, in 93 with the Dead. And I feel like it got relegated to the penultimate or the closing spot of a set. And that's where it got stuck. It's stale there.
Yeah. Yeah. But it always kind of matches up well with whatever else is around it. Like I thought it matched up well with, if he had ended the Bertha with that, it would have been a good spot for it. I always like, there's usually a Bird song in a set with a Cassidy somewhere sometimes. So you kind of get those two together, and they always kind of remind me of each other in ways. So I don't know. It was good. And then having the Deal come out of it, I thought was fun. Like having that as sort of, you know.
Yeah. That was one that Jerry always just got hyped and ripped on.
Well, 2 of them there to have that Bertha and that Deal, like you could see to your point, like those would have been epically
right. You know, and that's a set list in that order with Jerry, people would have been all over 1-900 Dead. Everybody be calling in for that set list.
But to that point, and to your point with that, it was a good set. First set,
fantastic.
On paper, the way it flowed, the way it played, and they really brought it. So happiness all around. And I mean, like we said, it just had to be really interesting to be on that stage and be in that small of a venue, because every time they'd show the back shot, you know, looking out into the crowd, that wall, that little bleacher section in that wall is like right there. There's not a lot of like, and that's it. Like that's the end of the. So I mean, you're literally like you're playing right to the back. I mean, it had to be so loud in there for one thing, which had to be awesome to hear, and they sounded great too. So I mean, the mix was great, and then the light rig was phenomenal. And in that little venue,
it was too big for that venue. That light rig
had to be a little overwhelming, I would think. Just I mean, if you're sitting back down those I mean, you'd kind of. I hope you know
that place holds 4,800. So
loud.
It's
fun.
All right, Tom. It's coup de grace. And with that, we're going to say make sure that you like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. We're going to be here after every Dead and Company show for the recaps. We got Wednesdays. We got Live. Once Fish kicks up, we're going to be doing the After Fish after show. So there'll be lots of reasons to get sick of us over the summer. And with that, we're going to jump into set 2. Let me start off set 2 by saying I look at it when it was going, and I was like, he's doing all the classic pairs. You know, Estimated Eyes for me was a classic pair. I don't know how often they did it, but for some reason I saw
you always just feel like, yes,
right.
like, yeah, right.
So, but they open with the China Rider, probably, you know, the most iconic pair. Well, I don't know. Can you say that with Scarlet Fire? But the China Rider is just, I think they really handle it well. It's one of those all-stars for Dead and Company.
And that's what I was going to say to saying Scarlet Fire. I think these days it definitely leans into a China Rider over Scarlet Fire. I feel like you get a China Rider a lot more. It's a little bit more. I do love Fire with O'Teal singing it. We say it every time they play it, like how him singing it's fantastic. But to get them both in the same set is extra special. Like what? So, right. Yes, getting that like opener is great, right? Like it just sets the tone. You're in it. And in our little chat, I know I said it right then. I was like, I hope Matt's planning on just throwing down this whole second set, and he just goes like, right, help slip Frank after this. And sure enough, it was perfect. Like,
it seemed like Bobby was having some issues. He didn't do his guitar part in the beginning of China Cat.
Yeah.
He was fiddling with knobs, and he seemed to be fiddling with knobs for most of the set. The China, right? The Rider, though, it's so powerful, and I can't imagine they had the lights. You got some white lights, so
a lot of white lights.
That must have been blinding in there with that.
No matter where you were, definitely. Yep. But I mean, nailed it. I mean, Bobby hit he hit it well. You know, it's as we talk about at length that it's not the same, but
right.
It's good in its own way. And it, you know, he got it tonight. It hit, and it had to be that energy in that room had to be fun. I mean, that's the other thing. Those kind of moments in that small of a venue with that much energy, it has to be incredible. So
it has to be. The roof had to be lifted up.
Totally.
Hunter once said, when the Grateful Dead are at their best, it's like suicide in music. Great drops of blood form on the ceiling and bathe us or something like that. And I always think of that. I'm like, yes, it's so gruesome. So Helps with Franklin's. For me is one of the 3 or 4 songs along with Eyes, I guess, and Let It Grow that symbolize the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? I think the lyrics to Help on the Way really are a Rosetta Stone to that, but just so fantastic. You can tell they've been rehearsing. They were so tight. They nailed it in that slip. They let it go slow. They found their places. What were you thinking?
And I think to that point, I think that playing Jazz Fest was a great warm-up set and a great warm-up show to get them going, because I feel like tonight, yes, they have been rehearsing, as Matt said, and working it out, which shows. I mean, it was on right from the get, but having one show coming into this was awesome and set up tonight very, very well. And you got those great moments with that. So
I just thought of this back in the Eyes. They did some interesting little musical stuff that they didn't normally do before they went back into verse. And we got some of that when we come up with the Scarlet, but Franklin's, Mayor screwed up the lines. I guess that was a nod to Jerry. It was solid. Franklin's is fun. Weird into drums for me though, because it has such a definitive end. Franklin's ends, drums begin.
It was it was an odd too. Like I was kind of standing around for a second. I was like, what are they? Okay, we're going into drums, but it was kind of like everyone finding their places and like getting everything adjusted, and then
it seemed early, but they had been on for 45 minutes at that point, so it really wasn't as early. Thought that the drums were just simply one of the better versions of it I've heard. Mickey did have the beam in there. I was looking beforehand and I didn't see it. I was like, he's going to destroy this place if he has the beam, but
he had the beam. Always got to have the beam, and they had O'Teal come out too, so they had the 3 going at once, and it didn't get too crazy, but it was a good drums. And then they left, and then Mickey stayed out for a bit and noodled around, and then
Short
other guys
space.
slowly came back, and then got a little bit of space. Got a nice.
I guess at this point they probably realized the clock was ticking because the
Mhm,
space was shorter, and then we got the
mhm.
Scarlet Fire, which are 5 and 6 on the night, and I think everyone felt like you had to do Scarlet Fire. That's like the iconic song from the iconic show or the iconic pairing. So, and it was fantastic. That Scarlet, they got so many nice places, and again, Chimente shining, just
Shining, and I had him shining again in that Helps Live Frank in that jam. He was all over that, like it was something else. Like he was an all-star tonight
he's like,
in a
this is
lot of
my
ways.
band.
Yeah,
I'm the
very
captain now.
exactly. Took it over. I mean, it was yes, and that scar. I mean, it. Yeah, the Scarlet Fire again. You can never go wrong with it. And I think it's kind of that. I don't know. It's ballsy to try and do it again. Like do you want to try and pull it out and play it again because it is the iconic
Right.
song from that show and kind of that moment. I mean, they didn't do Steven or Fade Away or anything like that. I was kind of surprised about maybe we get a Fade Away to end into the Terrapin, but
Right. Well,
but it was interesting that
they did one in New Orleans. And I think
yeah
these two shows together there will be no
it,
repeat.
yeah
I think anything tonight is on the table for the 19th, which is 11 days from now or 10 days from
yeah
now.
for sure. These were like the one-offs. I don't think they'll play a lot from, but I think to your point, it doesn't. Like Matt was saying, it depends on what you got to play in the
You're
city
getting that
last time
you're
around.
getting that West LA and San Francisco. So then and the fire. I mean,
But to that point, what I was going to say, Kevin, is that if you're going to do it, you better do it right, and it better be good. And I think setting it up where he set it up and put it in the set list, it built into that, so they were ready to go. And then having a little bit of break before you bust
right.
into it, kind of
They
gave
were
them that
moved up.
momentum, and then that rest, and then that let's go hit it. So I thought that was really smart and really
And it
good.
was different. They didn't try to do a carbon copy. It isn't the
No,
Scarlet Fire that Jerry was on. That fire got to a lot of different places, and
but
just
that's the whole band as it's been since the beginning. As we said, it's like Bobby's taking it. It's a different way to express the lyrics and tell the story and sing the song. So
and
that's expected.
Mayer is just such a student. Again, estimated. He pulls that feeling out. Fire. He taps into the same thing Jerry pulled on it. Then we get the song that I feel like is the most iconic song from the original show, The Dill. And John Mayer he ripped the solo, but he gets the lyric. He feels it. I think because John came to the Dead later, he has a different appreciation. He listened to the albums, he studied it, whereas we grew up listening to it. We had tapes at 13, 14, 15, so we have a different perspective. And I think because of that, he's the best one out there to do Jerry's. Not
And do
that
it
that's what he's
justice.
trying to do, but you know what I'm saying? He's the one who best represents, I think, what Garcia tried out of, you have Dark Star, you have J-Rad, So, but the
Yeah,
dude was fantastic.
I would agree with that. And Dude was fantastic. I mean, again, if you're gonna do it, it needs to be good. And it was again perfectly placed to come out of the Scarlet Fire. Why not drop into it? And amazing, like just gorgeous. Again, they had to blow the roof off of that place. Being there for that jam and that whole thing. I mean, you had to be just
Oh my God.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess Matt ran out on stage and was like, no, 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 no. And they did the Terrapin. I think that they were out of time. So
I think
maybe
so too. Yeah,
maybe he
because
had
I
to
was
cut a
wondering because
check.
it was like the no encore.
Right.
Like this is your encore. Here it is, and yeah. Uh-huh.
And I will always have my Terrapin thing, but of all the people who try to sing it, I think that Mayer and Weir do a satisfactory job with the lyric. I mean, Bobby likes to phrase stuff his own way. Which
Yes.
sometimes I'm like, this is Terrapin, this is a sacred text, and we do not deviate from the sacred text.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
where we are. All right, so
But
yes,
it was good. I mean, it was a great closer. It was a great way to end that show. I mean, it was you
Right.
know,
Not enough darkness at the end because they had to get out
'cause
there.
they had to get out there and you couldn't, right? But what are you gonna do?
Fantastic,
Yeah,
fantastic.
exactly.
Everybody who walked out of there, I'm sure it was worth every penny
I
that it
agree.
was to get in there, and I feel like the band embraced it. You know, a lot of times the Grateful Dead would blow the big ones, like Woodstock and shit like that. They just, they were not at their best. Tonight, I think they walked in there and they were at their best, and their best is better than anybody else out there.
Yeah, no, they absolutely slayed it. I was a little unsure about the whole event and the whole thing, but I think it looked like a lot of fun. I think everybody that was there had an incredible time, and I think the band brought it. Like,
If
it
you're
was
mad about it,
perfect.
you just jelly.
And if that is what is to come for summer tour, everybody better buckle up because it's going to be a fun last ride. I
Oh my
mean,
god.
I think they're going to, be
And
playing
it's
well. And
it's so long. May 19th to July 3rd or July 8th or something. I think the last 2 shows overlap the first Fish shows, because one night we're gonna have to do 2 after shows.
the double show.
Because what but then companies on San Francisco, they'll be in San Francisco at the time, so and Fish is wherever they're starting, somewhere on the East Coast
Yeah, that'll be
where
fun.
we make the big money. All right,
That'll
make
be
sure to
fun.
find us on Wednesday night. Liv's coming on. We may have a guest. We may not have a guest, and
You never
we'll
know.
go
Tune in
from
and
there.
find out. It's always a surprise.
Right.
And then
Hopefully,
join us all summer on all the after shows. As Kev said, we'll be doing Dead and Co shows starting after the LA show and then Fish when they hit the road. So hope you all enjoyed the show as much as we did tonight. That was a lot of fun. And thanks for tuning in. I hear it. I hear it.
Oh, come on, stop.